everybody. This is Freedom with Greek DeFi Guru and Crypto Pride. We're going to have an exciting AMA with Ted from Daylight Protocol today. There's so many big things happening, including the recent release of Apollo Galaxy, the upcoming release of Moonlight and Artemis on Arbitrum, all very bullish. And so today, me, Greek, and Crypto Pride are going to be grilling Ted right here. And everybody in the audience, make sure, you guys can put your questions and comments in. We'll be kind of following a general flow today, main topics being Daylight Protocol and then Apollo Galaxy, a little bit on Apollo Launchpad. We'll get into some Moonlight Arbitrum stuff, and then maybe talk a little bit about Seifu, Vulcan kind of stuff too. So how's everybody? How are you guys doing? Are you guys ready for this? Greek?
Ready.
Crypto Pride?
I'm always ready. I don't get ready. I stay ready.
You stay ready.
Today's a big day. I'm all jacked.
Well, yeah, you got a good afternoon coming here, eh? With the football.
Well, hopefully. Yeah.
So how are you doing, Ted? Welcome.
Doing spectacular, guys. How is everybody here?
Good.
We are on our seats, just waiting to hear from you, buddy. So one thing I wanted to do was I wanted you to introduce yourself and give everybody, there might be some new people here, a brief overview of Daylight Protocol, why the team created it, and just any general stuff. And then we'll kind of get into some of the different topics and everything. Sound good?
Of course. So, for those that are new to the stream, new to actually seeing me live for the first time, I'm Ted from Project Daylight, one of the founders and the chief product officer, and also, the founder of Apollo Technologies, which has introduced the world's first hyper appreciating stable asset, which has also become very, I would say, a hyped up topic, free, I would say a storage of true wealth, and soon to be co-founder as well as chief product officer of Project Moonlight and Crescent Swap, which are some of our new projects coming out on Arbitrum exclusively, and also the Apollo Launchpad, which will soon go live on Vulcan once we are able to test the chain, once we're able to figure out a lot of the other intricate details behind that. So Project Daylight is basically what we brand as a true wealth generation protocol. Also, what it is a reward token with a multifaceted ecosystem. So it's got, some PvP GameFi that is currently in development. It's got a launch pad that is pretty much done except for the front end, the interface itself. It's got a fully functional DEX, farms, pools, as well as, several other branches such as the Apollo token, which is a secondary support token, and Apollo Galaxy, which is a high-risk linear staker built on the BNB chain, right? So Project Daylight was basically designed as, I would say, a statement towards a lot of the reward tokens that are out there today, that obviously always decline in value. We have been proven to not only hold up all our value, but also have some underlying assets that back, I would say, the token itself in the very long term, making it a deflationary reward token, which a lot of other projects have never done before in the space, and also having a separate market and a floor price. So something's very interesting that are upcoming is that, we have Arbitrum, all the hype going around Ethereum layer 2s right now. And there will be an Arbitrum airdrop, I would say, in the near to further future. This is something very speculative, not a lot of people know about. But also one of our moves on Arbitrum will be Project Moonlight, which is the exact same, I would say, a similar protocol, but also the opposite with a different theme, with different tokenomics, everything improved, everything taken from Project Daylight that has been learned improved into a fully functional, multifaceted protocol on the Arbitrum chain for user expansion, for DeFi functionality, for sustainability. We're seeing a lot of now, I would say, Olympus and Wonderland forks on Arbitrum. This is not what we're doing. We are doing a deflationary token as well as a stable appreciating asset on the chain. And of course, you guys will probably have a lot of questions. So there's more to talk about.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Let's just talk about Daylight Protocol a little bit. Obviously, the Apollo token is killing it so far, right, Ted? It's like, what is it at right now? 123, or is it even higher?
122 some change.
Oh, 122. Yeah. So from $1, right, to 122 in such a short period of time for a stable back token is amazing, right?
Yeah. So what Apollo has basically done is it started at price 1, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very complex mechanic token. Something that I'm also working on for Seifu, which is a white label solution of Apollo and Apollo Technologies.
Yeah.
So Apollo is basically the stable appreciating asset that sort of gives you an APR, but in terms of value instead of inflationary, I would say, supply. And it's very, I would say, intrinsic because it uses no liquidity pools at all, yet it holds collateral value because it is over 100% back to the $1, right? So it's not a pegged stable coin per se, but it utilizes stable coins to basically back its current underlying value. And it's so far within about 2.5, 3 weeks of Apollo's launch. It has already given people a proven, I would say, APY of about, it has given them a 23% gain, which if you would actually calculate the APY, it would be 3 into, let's say 16, 3 into 16. So 20 into 16, that's almost about 400% APY at the current rate.
Minus taxes though, right?
Yeah,
if you take it out,
taxes, of course.
But you haven't taken it out yet, so it's still kind of doing that, right?
Yeah. Correct. And we've also given people an opportunity to play around with a high-risk linear staker that basically, number one is it is not like the other stakers like Big Beans, etc., that, is very reliant on a lot of new users. So Apollo Galaxy sort of punishes people that like a lot of these Ponzonomics by giving you a system where the highest risk you could lose is your deposit fee, but you would be able to retrieve everything from the staker. Of course, we haven't guaranteed that you can get max payout or even above 100, 110%, but we've created such a system where, if we're able to market as well as fuel the staker enough with our own DEX fees, our own revenue streams, it's something of a passive income protocol that pays you tokens without inflation on an asset that literally never goes down, right? So that's something that we've introduced that is very experimental, but at the same time, very, very lucrative for a lot of people that are holding Apollo but don't know what to do with it. We'll obviously have some Daylight Apollo farms up in the very near future as soon as, my developers recover from whatever illnesses they have this time.
So Ted, go ahead.
Yeah, I must say Apollo Galaxy's killing it right now. Yeah. I am loving it.
You almost maxed out already.
But that's one of my only gripe is because of all the referrals I have, and I'm not bragging or anything, is because I might hit max payouts in 6.5 weeks. I have it timed out where I would actually hit my max, and then I have to wait doing nothing then. But I keep adding, so it's not like but then I keep resetting the timer. So that's one of my questions going forward. Is there going to be changes made with the 9-week countdown?
Yeah, you mentioned that a little bit, right? Well, just that you were looking at some changes.
Yeah, I was initially looking at some changes. Obviously, nothing is confirmed at the moment.
Okay.
But the way we've designed it, with such a high tax that is very, very slowly declining, is one of the reasons that it's set apart from a lot of the other stakers, right? So this way it becomes something that is not a Ponzi, that is, you're not able to ROI in like 2 weeks and then withdraw more than the staker than you actually should be withdrawing. And that's what sets us apart and also prolongs the life of the project, right? Because if we look at if we look at a lot of the other staker, there's BUSD Garden that pays you about 6% per day. I think that's something, not sustainable, and it heavily requires a lot of new funding coming in order to feed exit liquidity for old stakers, right? And this isn't the most ideal situation that we want to be faced with. We don't want to satisfy half of the population but then disappoint the other half. What we'd rather do is, if it is not sustainable in the end, we would inject some of our money in it and slightly satisfy everyone, right? So everybody still wins if they come out with 10% higher than their original stake, than if half the population gets 500% and half the population is not able to withdraw more than 10% because there's nothing left in the staking contract.
Yeah,
just
and
talking about drip.
Well, and that's where I did want to kind of, I was trying to assess that part of, and I know I saw on the Discord you kind of mention it, but it's like, how volatile is Apollo Galaxy? Because I've kind of thought of it as a pretty safe bet. Now, obviously, like you said, it is in the sense that, like, the worst that's going to happen is absolutely worst would be that you lose your like 10% deposit or something, right?
Correct.
Which is pretty amazing. And then very unlikely that you're not going to get something out of it. But I guess the one thing is, like, you're talking about, if necessary, you would have to inject a bit. That's all a manual thing, right? Like, if you decided that I'm done with Daylight and Apollo, at some point you wouldn't be there to inject it, right? So then it would go. How do you feel about that? Like, not saying you're gonna stop, but
I mean, so our team is basically committed, with the current TVL. If Apollo Galaxy were deemed to not be able to work out, what we would do is we would basically inject about 25,000 Apollos, so that's approximately $30,000, into the staking contract. And then we just say, okay, we're shutting Apollo Galaxy down. You guys can just withdraw till max payout. Sorry, withdraw till you ROI 110%. And the project will be shut down. We'll have new things coming, etc., right? That is a much better approach than trying to delay the inevitable and then say we'll give you a refund, or we'll do something else, or we'll try to market it even further, which is a risk versus reward kind of thing, right? Because if you're not able to market the protocol successfully, and there's a lack of influx from a lot of users, it sort of reaches a point where we've wasted money on marketing, we can't do anything else. So what I'd rather do is refund an additional 10%, so everybody gets their deposit back plus 10% for their time wasted, and then at the end everybody sort of comes out somewhat satisfied because they're not losing money, unless of course they early withdrew, and then that's not our fault because we've given the disclaimer. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and obviously both. Well, Crypto Pride, you've been making videos on it, right? As well as Greek, and I'll be making some more in regards to like trying to help people maximize gains and come up with strategies, right, Greek?
I think the main from the comments I'm getting is can you just go over the compounding aspect of it? A lot of people are confused on the compounding, and it doesn't increase the max payout. It just increases your stake and everything. Can you just briefly go over the compounding? And I'm hearing some people say you shouldn't compound, and some people say you compound too much, it's going to affect something. So can you just go over the compounding aspect of it?
So the thing is, obviously, if you're compounding, you're able to reach max payout faster, but at the same time, you're sort of sacrificing, I would say, 15% of your max payout because you're actually compounding. So you have that compound fee. As seen in a lot of projects, and even drip that I've been invested in, it does have sort of a compound feature to it, but the compound in that sense actually doesn't help you reach max payout faster, but it actually increases your max payout, right? Because it adds more to your stake. In this case, you're not actually adding more to your stake, but you're, I would say, adding the value of the payout that you can take out per day. So it will possibly help you reach max payout faster. I did a few calculations on my own. So if you compound, I would say for 9 weeks straight, you would reach max payout in approximately 240 days as opposed to 365 days. But then at the same time, with other ROI dApps like Drip, for example, if you're compounding every single day, you wouldn't be getting 365%. You'd be getting 3150%, right? And that is 31.5x once you withdraw from the faucet. So that's sort of the difference that we have set apart. We're not actually increasing the max payout because that means that's an inflationary aspect. So we're
Exactly.
completely avoiding that, right? So if you choose to not compound, for example, and you wait 9 weeks, it's going to take you 365 days from 9 weeks to withdraw your max payout.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be approximately 428 days.
Yeah, for anybody new, the reason why I'm hitting it so much faster is now I'm earning more because I have so many referrals, and the referrals help me reach payout faster. So that's where
course.
I'm. But like I said, I keep adding. I just wish the timer wouldn't reset 9 weeks because. But
Well,
if I
then you
add
don't want
enough,
to add,
if
right?
I add enough, I'm
you get to
timing it out so where it will equal out if I just start compounding 2 to 9 weeks, and then I can start pulling out. But even if I pull out, and also, Ted, I have a question. If you do hit max payout and I start pulling out, can I then can I not feed them back in? But if I add new capital in,
Yes, well, you still have
does
that.
does that still extend? Can I still use that wallet for the rest of my life, or do I just
You
move it
can.
into another wallet and do it?
You can, right? But here's the catch, right? Once you've reached max payout, let's say you've staked 100 Apollo and you come out with, 365 Apollo minus the deposit tax minus the withdrawal tax. Let's put a ballpark at around 300 Apollo. And you've already reached max payout. If you're going to redeposit, let's say 300 Apollo, your referrals are going to reset and your withdrawal timer is also going to reset, right? The reason we made it like this is because people with massive referrals and downlines cannot game the system 2 to 3 times in a row, right? Because that way they'd be depleting the contract and not making the game fair for everyone else.
Yeah, don't
So
give it all to Greek here. Come on.
So just don't hit
Save
max
some for
payout and
pride
just
in
I'm
us.
just gonna keep adding, to my stake
so-
and not to collect. I'm not really gonna pull out until I
Correct.
feel good and ready
So-
to, until I like the amount.
Yeah, so if you don't hit max payout and you decide to continue to play the game, you'd be of course punished with another 9 weeks of a declining, withdrawal tax, right? So that's sort of the point of Apollo Galaxy. It's made in such a way that it's so sustainable. It's thought very intrinsically from all angles. We've put in sustainable factors. And a minimum loss factor as well. Sorry, maximum loss factor. And at the same time, we're punishing people that sort of try to play the game with referrals, with a bunch of different compounding bots. Because even with Drip, I can do a double compound or a triple compound, with the gelato bot or something, and then even go above, I would say 30-40x because of how it is, right? Or reach max power faster, for instance. And this is, I guess, something that we've completely changed over. If you compare to Big Beans, BUSD Garden, a lot of those similar projects that were before these predecessors, they've sort of, I guess, had shorter runway or shorter project life. And this is because the staking contract was depleted at such a fast rate because a lot of people decided to game it. So we can even think of some other popular examples like Ocean and AMM DeFi that a lot of people have been into. And basically what it did was when they were no longer able to sustain the contract, some of these projects actually rugged because they literally didn't know what to do, right? So that's some of the problems that we've faced as investors ourselves, and how we're mitigating these issues is by implementing these I guess punishment tactics for people that try to game the system.
Okay, I got one question real quick. Say you're about to get really close to max payout and you want to deposit new funds. Will your claimable rewards, will your daily rewards still stay the same?
No, it would be based on the new funds then.
Oh, it will be based on new funds? Even if you don't hit max payout?
Even if you don't, so it's going to be basically based on the percentage, 1% of what's remaining from your max payout added to your new stake, right? So if you have, I guess, $100 remaining to be paid out, that would then be I guess consolidate it along with your new stake as well, right? So you would get 100 divided by 365 for the next 365 withdrawals.
So that's if he's been collecting and he's like, I got 100 left, and he adds more.
Correct.
That's when that
Correct.
comes into account. But if he hasn't collected, then it just continues adding to his.
Correct.
Correct. But then you reset your timer. That's
correct.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Explains it, and now I can explain it to a lot of people better.
Yeah, and I think we'll have to definitely follow up with some additional questions and stuff just to make sure that we can all make videos that give like the best information, right? Because I was going to look at like making a spreadsheet for myself that I kind of look at everything and even look at like what kind of amounts I have to put in, kind of staggered a bit, to see that I can basically even get to enough passive income that could continue while this is running to basically sustain me, right? Like, so I'm totally going to kind of look into that. And the other aspect is once people start, like Greek hits his max amount, starts selling some Apollo perhaps, right? That's when the Apollo price is going to start going up too. So it's going to be very interesting, right? To just see how all of it plays out, because by the time you start taking out your Apollo, it's going to be worth more. It's just how much more, right?
Yeah.
So very fascinating, right? To see this.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested, because the way the Apollo token works, like selling increases the price of it. So as people start collecting in a galaxy, at that point, you'd assume they're going to sell that galaxy rather than just hold it in their wallet. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just keep adding to your stake where you're earning 365%, rather than just taking it out to keep in your wallet? Then it benefits all users in it. So that's why I love about this. So it's like the price only goes up, and it's like drip on steroids. That's why I love it. So it's like I'm waiting till the right time.
I'll put that comment back up, but I'll just put this one. So what all the rest of us want Greek to do is to get there first and start selling his Apollo so that by the time we're ready to start withdrawing, our Apollo price is way up from Greek selling. So come on, buddy, get on it.
I don't have
and then you
much.
can buy some new Apollo later and also increase the price for us. So make it happen. There was this question here. Hi, Ted. Wasn't completely clear on the compounding on Galaxy. Is it automatic if I do nothing?
So, it's not, right? So Apollo Galaxy is sort of an addictive game that gets you coming back every day. So you have to do an action every day, right? So if once you've passed the withdrawal tax ladder, you're basically coming back and you're claiming 1% every day. If you don't come back and you don't claim, the rewards are not accumulating over time, right? Because what that is it's encouraging a Ponzi, and that's not what we're here to do.
Right. Yeah. So I think that sounds really good, and I think that's what I like, that you've kind of put different things in place to help keep it sustainable. The major influencers like Greek can't take super advantage of the hyper supreme influencers like Greek can't take advantage of the rest of us. And right, Crypto Brad, we gotta
So if you guys are watching, I know I have referrals. Do not use my referral, even though it's in the link of my video. Go to Freedom's channel, use his referral if you want. Go to Pride's channel and use his referral. Do not use my referral.
Referrals in the description below.
Yeah, I don't even have mine in this video, but
well, now I'm plugging something that's not even there.
Mine's is there. Mine's is there. That's all that matters.
I'll add it. I got the other Apollo videos, but nonetheless, let's. One thing I wanted to ask you though, Ted, was I know you had kind of talked about getting some marketing going for Apollo Galaxy. are you kind of going to focus on the Moonlight Arbitrum side first before you kind of go that direction, or what's the plan in that regards? Because I know we all realize how fabulous Apollo Galaxy is, right? But the truth is, not that many people know about it yet, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. So, I mean, one of the things that I really wanted to do was enable a lot of influencers to basically build their downlines, because downlines in this matter, you're basically benefiting the entire project. You're benefiting all the people that are staked within Apollo Galaxy, and it's not like you're using your downlines for exit liquidity, right? We have seen in the past several projects, that have basically done this, and that's not the focus right here. However, we still have about 7-8 weeks of runway till the withdraw tax reaches, I would say, 10%, and people start withdrawing from the contract. So my primary focus right now is basically, number one, generating revenue on Arbitrum. Number two, feeding it back to Daylight and Apollo, as well as Apollo Galaxy. And the other priority I have right now is basically getting the Apollo Daylight farms as well as the Apollo BNB farms up, which means we're going to have an additional liquidity pair on the decks as well, right? So,
Ooh. I didn't know about the Apollo BNB one, actually.
Neither
Yeah,
did
so-
I. That's
so
exciting.
this is going to be a very, very interesting opportunity where people are able to buy Apollo with BNB and maybe sell it on the Apollo DApp, or basically buy on the Apollo DApp and sell it on, the DEX itself, right? So you can basically arbitrage the liquidity pools directly. So let's say Greek buys Apollo for a high price on the DApp, sorry, a low price on the DApp, and he sells it at $2 on the DEX, right? And let's just say he depletes the liquidity pool on I would say the DApp itself by selling down Apollo and then getting out BNB. So what I can do now is I can use my BNB to buy Apollo at a very low price and sell it on the DApp once more, right? And all of these actions keep raising the price of Apollo as something that's so unique, inventive, innovative, where you can do self arbitrage with just a singular liquidity pool, because one token literally never goes down in price and the other one is sort of a stable, semi-stable blockchain native token, right, which is BNB. So that's something that's really, really interesting, that we've sort of implemented in there, and the volatility helps, right? Initially I was going to do an Apollo BUSD pool, but then I've changed it to BNB because this just makes things more fun and chaotic.
Ted, you're like giving us too much there, buddy. My brain is just like, I can't handle all of this stuff,
He loves chaos. Loves
well, he just loves creating innovative stuff, basically, right? So, okay, so let's come back to Apollo Daylight Farm.
Yeah.
First of all, so any approximate timing on that one?
When the developers feel like it, they'll create it. But I can say the contracts were just done yesterday.
All right.
Okay.
And now, so you were saying that the APY APR is going to be higher than the current long farm?
Definitely. So one thing that's very interesting about both these farms is they're gonna have a 20% LP tax, right? Which means you're gonna sacrifice 20% of your LP tokens that you've deposited in exchange for a higher APR, which is earned in Daylight tokens, right? So we're looking at about 300-400% APY. That is exceptionally higher than the long farm, that is really higher than the short farm, the MBB farm, and we're sort of going to reduce the percentages for the other farm except for the long farm,
Yeah.
just to incentivize users to basically withdraw or join this farm, for instance. So just to let you guys know what the taxes actually do, it's basically going to help the Daylight ecosystem a lot, because the Apollo BNB farm is going to, sell the Apollo, raising the price of Apollo. It's going to buy back and burn Daylight with the BUSD that's received from selling Apollo. And then, that's basically, and then it's going to send the BNB to a vault that we're going to use for future development, future buybacks and burns, etc. Right? And you can also consider it a safety vault that will be utilized for, I would say, replenishing the Apollo Galaxy Staker contract. And then the Apollo Daylight farm also has a 20% deposit fee. What it's going to do is it's going to break the LP. It's going to sell Apollo, which means the price of Apollo is again going to go up. It's going to buy back and burn Daylight with the BUSD received. And then it's going to send Daylight to the treasury, right? So this Daylight that is in the treasury is going to be used in the future to basically redeem, which means delete the supply and then use the money, the backing that's received from redeeming the supply to buy back and burn Daylight once more, once it accumulates. And this is sort of how, as a project, we are providing the exit or entry liquidity for users as opposed to an influx of new investors.
Yeah, Apollo's gonna be like $2 in 3 months.
It's definitely a possibility. It's also a possibility that Artemis might do better because of the way we've structured the Moonlight pre-sale to only be bought in Artemis tokens. But
Right.
that's all to be
Well,
revealed.
let's get into the Artemis Moonlight stuff just a little bit later. But here's a question for you. And this is, I think everybody here, many of the hardcore Daylight people kind of understand what's happening with the ecosystem, but as for the investors that bought pre-sale, they just look at their Daylight every once in a while. The price is down.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, is because, and I think maybe you mentioned that the return on investment on these farms and stuff has been very good, right? So I'm sure some people are taking profit from that, are like taking some of that out. Now I'm holding because my Daylight keeps kind of increasing, and I'm waiting for the price to come out before I start taking a bit of profit out, right? But so here's my main question. This Apollo Daylight farm is going to be another high Daylight return on investment. The question is, what's going to actually get that Daylight price going? I know there's lots of things, but for the normal investor, that's what the Daylight people need to know, right?
Yeah, so something very, very interesting, and I did, mentioned this before, is the opportunity to arbitrage between the BUSD and Apollo pools that are farmed, that are paired with Daylight. So the reason that we're pairing Apollo Daylight at a higher price is so that we're able to buy back from the BUSD pool and then sell into the Apollo pool and generate a lot of these arbitrage opportunities that are constantly filling up the liquidity pool. And that's something that's really, really interesting, that a lot of people can take advantage of: internal liquidity pools, internal arbitrage opportunity, and make money off of it itself, right? But apart from that, one of the very strategic moves that we're doing is we're expanding to Arbitrum so that there is awareness on the original Daylight ecosystem from new investors. This is not supposed to be for the current Daylight community to invest in unless they want to. At their own discretion, but then at the same time, we're sort of expanding the user base on different chains so that we can sort of consolidate this ecosystem into one powerful, I would say, multifaceted cross-chain product that we're promoting all the time. And that's when the marketing really happens and matters the most. Is when we're able to tell this influencer, hey, we've got 2 successful projects, let's do a collaboration, let's do a video together, and then get the message out there, right? Because if we're going to promote Daylight and Apollo Galaxy right now, we're going to lose the chance of getting exposure on Arbitrum, which is much more valuable to feeding back into the ecosystem. Because what we're going to do right now is we're going to get exposure for Daylight, we're going to get exposure for Apollo Galaxy. That's great. It might give us more capital, it might make us a lot of money in the short term, it might make a lot of the investors very rich very fast in the short term. But at the same time,
we're okay with that.
Yeah, you guys are,
just kidding.
Exactly.
The long-term vision over here is that you'd be missing out on this massively expanded user base in Arbitrum, which can then be promoted alongside Daylight, right?
I'm definitely with you in regards to I think what one of the mistakes that a lot of projects make is they over promote too soon. And
Yeah.
then they get all these people in, and then they're waiting and waiting for the ecosystem to be built and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I do like, and I do think that this move to Arbitrum is smart right now, before you over promote, because essentially, like you said, once you really promote, there are so many aspects to this ecosystem that people can get
Exactly.
involved with, right? And
Yeah.
depending on your level of volatility, all these different aspects, there's going to be, and it's all feeding in together too, right? For
Yeah.
the daylight people, for example.
Yeah.
Because that's something I've seen too, is daylight people worrying that we're expanding the bridges and you're forgetting about daylight, but everything feeds back into
That's not the
daylight.
case,
So
you know.
Yeah.
What I do understand is I do understand the community's concerns of the declining price, but then here's also something to really think about, right? Number one is we've burned around 30% of the supply since launch, 2.5 months, 3 months. We've already provided an all-time high, which is 1.4, 1.5 ish, where a lot of people have taken massive profits at, and then they DCA'd back into the project, right? So
Not
that's also
me.
something. Well, that's also something to consider, right? Because we have given a
Yeah.
chance. It's not like the price never went above launch price or pre-sale price.
Yeah.
We've definitely provided the opportunity for literally everybody to take profit. We are not in control of how the token actually trades. It is an open market. It is completely decentralized. We're not blacklisting wallets. We're not manipulating
Yeah.
the liquidity pools by pulling liquidity and sort of letting the token price crash or leaving exposure to a lot of other things, right? So that's something that's very important to consider. And then we're also paying about 3 to 5,000. We're paying almost 20,000 daylight out per day in rewards, which
Wow.
is
Right.
a phenomenal amount. And ever since launch, we've more or less given out about $350 to $400,000 worth of rewards that people are constantly selling down into the liquidity pool. They are raising
Yeah.
the floor price. We understand this, but at the same time, the price will decline, maybe slower than other projects, because we do have, I would say, safety nets in place in place to control this the price impact. But at the same time, it's not something that we can control because we are giving a lot to holders, and at the same time, we are developing new products so fast, right? There's
Yeah.
no other
Yeah.
project that I've seen in recent times, at least, that have launched their project, end of November, and by February they have a DEX, they have farms, pools, they have a new secondary token, they have a linear staker, and now they're expanding cross chain. That doesn't happen in
Yeah.
this small amount of time, and that's one differentiation that we've actually done over here is roll out products. Then we use the capital we've set aside for marketing, for exposure, for a lot of other things, right? And I guess that is our approach to promoting Project Daylight. It's not something that everybody sees as ideal because they want this massive hype. But the problem
Yeah.
is massive hype doesn't really help you if you've got one singular token and literally no utility on the line.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, if even just like even the all-time high, right? It's like Brian Legend had put some money in there. We had a good pump, and then
Yeah, it
tons
was
of
like the
people
120.
sold out. And then tons
Yeah.
of people sold out, right? And it's like, and that's the whole thing. Look at pretty much all these different projects that just pump and dump and and I'm with you. Like, I do think it's good to build the solid ecosystem, right? That you guys are creating, that's really going to
Yeah.
be able to handle, all different markets and reward. Like, I kind of look at it as I'll be rewarded for holding my daylight. Even though the value of it's down, with these farms, I'm increasing my amount every month by a substantial amount, right? So, hey, here was a question there, Ted. Why not get better front end developers that do not get constantly sick with food poisoning and delay our launches?
They're the best, but natural catastrophes are just unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dealing with the sickness for 3 weeks. I've been telling everybody that. I have a text message from somebody who wants me to ask a question.
All right.
He's driving, so well, whatever.
You better not be
but he
driving and
texted me.
texting.
Okay. He goes, I'm a complete noob and want to invest in your ecosystem. Dumb down. Where do I put my money and why?
I'm not able to give financial advice. But maybe do have a chat with Greek, Pride or Freedom. In the DMs, ask them where their heads at. They'll probably have some nice insight for you. But personally, as part of the team, I can't really tell you where to put your money at.
I mean, for me,
Yeah.
I'm buying Apollo and putting it in the Apollo Galaxy if I'm a
Right.
newbie. And then if
That's
you
it. Yeah.
that's where I'm putting my stuff if I'm a newbie. That's just my opinion, not financial advice. I also hold a big bag of daylight, and I'm also in the long farm. And then I keep transferring everything from farm, put it short farm, the 2-week farm. I just keep, that's where I'm just letting my day
You're
sit.
glitching out a bit for me.
Can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah. He's stuck.
Oh, he's stuck. Well, yeah. And so
Internet.
what about, oh, he's still going. Here. Oh, I probably can't. I was going to see if I could. What about you, Pride? What's your general
Apollo.
plan right now? Yeah.
Apollo, and Apollo Galaxy. That's the no-brainer for me. Like I said, it's ever appreciating, so you can't lose any money. I mean, how many protocols can you say that about?
A lot of people
Greek.
were like, Apollo is probably a Ponzi or a scam. But it's created in such a way that, and one thing that's very interesting is it doesn't use liquidity pool, so it's not subject to volatility. It's not subject to actual trading. What happens is when you buy the token, your BUSD goes into the backing, and you mint new tokens, right? And what happens when you sell the token, BUSD is taken out of the backing, and you've basically burnt the supply that you've sold. So it works very similarly to Daylight's floor price, where it literally cannot go down in value. But this is a proven test of a hyper appreciating token, right? I'll give you a few other examples of appreciating stables. I think you guys have heard of XUSD. There is MDB Plus as well. MDB Plus doesn't go down in price, but they've launched already, I think, almost a year, and their current price for MDB Plus is 1.23. We've launched around 3 weeks, and our current price is 1.22. So that speaks volumes about a hyper appreciating token that literally never goes down in price.
Well, I think for me, the game changer with Apollo personally is the combo with Apollo Galaxy. That's what kind of really, and obviously there, like you said, there is some volatility within that one, but based on how it's set up, it's like most you can lose is like 10% max versus a very big upside, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of focusing on those, and then for me, I will be very happy to try and get in on the Arbitrum Artemis side I think we'll have some, kind of bullish discussions on that very soon. There was this question, Ted. Wouldn't it be better to have more buy pressure on DAYL if it constantly giving out rewards, at least a healthy chart above 1, so new investors would feel to invest?
Yeah, like I said, when we promote Apollo Galaxy, we're definitely going to put effort into promoting Daylight at the same time. And with the new farm setup and basically how they work, there is going to be a huge amount of buy pressure that is artificially created from the deposit tax on these farms that pay out, I guess, higher amounts of rewards. So it will definitely encourage new investors coming to the ecosystem to not only buy Daylight and Apollo to be able to pair them together, but this will increase the price of both assets intrinsically, and then sort of, I guess, feed the floor price in a way, and then in the end provide sort of a beautiful and a healthy chart. Because I do understand the concerns that are coming with the declining price. It's not something we can control. If one guy has about 10 KLP tokens in the long farm, he's basically earning approximately $500 to $600 worth of daylight per day, and it's something that we cannot control. It's inevitable, at this point.
Yeah.
That's Greek. That's the Greek.
What?
That owns that much.
And I don't know a ton. I'm coming through clear now. I just got a text message from my internet service provider that they're having outages in the area. So that's what was happening.
Yeah.
Great timing. So now I'm tethered through my phone internet and it seems to be working. So I'm just
Welcome
hoping.
back, buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so
go for it.
basically where I was finishing so I take everything that I have in the DAYL long form and I just am keeping it in the DAYL short form. And that's where I'm keeping my daylight and just keep claiming and moving it over every day. And that's where I'm just putting all new stuff I'm doing in Apollo Galaxy.
Well, and I think what I'm going to end up doing personally is once the Apollo farm is up, I'll definitely look at taking some of my DAYL, probably buying some more Apollo and getting in that farm as well. But it'll be interesting because then we'll also have the Artemis side too. So, and one of the things that I know some people mention, I'm not doing this, but whether some people are selling some DAYL so then they can get in Artemis or something like that, which I personally won't do because I think what's going to happen, and this is only my opinion, but I think what's going to happen is at some point this daylight price is just going to take off, right? And I'd like to have a bunch of DAYL when that happens, but that's only my opinion, obviously. But so that's what I kind of think with on the price side. Like, I know that everybody wants it to go up, but I think it's a bit of a waiting game on this one as these utilities get built and even if we have let's have a very brief conversation about Apollo Launchpad, which will also be the Artemis Launchpad. But obviously, Ted, it sounds like you're waiting on Vulcan to get the beta up and running, right? That you can actually test it even, right?
That's correct, right? So, we obviously don't understand Vulcan good enough to fully implement an integration. The thing is, with EVM compatible blockchains, you can basically mirror, one product from the BNB chain to another blockchain as long as it's EVM compatible. But what we'd actually like to do is sort of explore testnet because it's completely new. It's it's very elementary introduction, even to us as developers, and sort of go into the systematics of this chain itself and how it actually works, study it a bit more, and then I guess once testnet phase is complete, we would be able to roll out the product in approximately 1.5 to 2 weeks after the Vulcan blockchain itself launches. Right. The reason we haven't actually launched Apollo Launchpad on the BNB chain is because we've had, I guess, some of the projects that are trying to get incubated on the Launchpad, they sort of delayed their plans because of market conditions, and then they have other excuses like we haven't been able to gather enough investors, etc., etc. So it's sort of a waiting game even with that. But it's possible that we do something trustless on Arbitrum, sort of like a pink sale fork, and then just even though pink sale is not open source, so you can't really fork it, but sort of have something like that where projects and builders can come on and launch their own projects, get some support from us, get some community funding from their communities or even ours if they were to tap in somehow, and basically feed that back to the original Daylight ecosystem, to the new Moonlight ecosystem, which is going to be ultra bullish with a lot of things that we have planned, and a lot of marketing options that we actually have laid out on the horizon. And sort of that's how we'll keep building and moving forward. So Daylight, in the end, as as we've mentioned several times before, it is a long-term game. A lot of people have exited the protocol that failed to understand that. A lot of people understand that one day this floor price is going to be $1. So, at that point doesn't really matter. So we're not offering crazy Ponzi-nomic APR and saying you're going to get 5% back per day. We're offering something that is, I would say, called sustainable DeFi, and definitely more than what your bank gives you.
Yeah, for sure. There was this comment about strategy for long term. Well, that's probably okay, but strategy for long term. What is the strategy for long term Apollo sustainability, especially if there's a sabotage from those against people, power, wealth? I guess that's probably really kind of a question about if there would be any concerns regarding government involvement on crypto and stuff, right? Like, could the government get involved with BUSD through Binance? Like, is that possible?
Yeah, so BUSD is a Paxos white label product done with Binance branding. So
Yeah.
as long as BUSD continues to exist, so will Apollo. It literally never goes down in price, so there's no
Yeah.
sustainability issue over there.
Yeah.
But I can't really speak on these controversial topics, people, power, wealth, sabotages, and whatever, because I have no knowledge whatsoever of them. As far as I'm concerned, we are decentralized money. We are advocating, decentralized finance, and we're not doing anything with centralized liable entities such as centralized exchanges, etc. Like I
Yeah.
said before, because we are a tax token, we are not going to be able to list on a centralized exchange, as they don't adopt on-chain tokenomics. And at the same time, it's something that we can't completely shy away or escape from, because these events are not mutually exclusive. It could or could not affect us. That's not a guarantee I can give you.
Yeah. And then what about like this whole ban on staking? Like, can they really get at the DeFi side, like the DeFi versus the CX side? Like, can they really?
I mean, they're
Hard to
they're trying
say.
really hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These, I would say, authoritarian entities are trying really hard to penetrate into DeFi, but they're not able to because of the nature of the blockchain itself and its decentralized, anonymous technology. They're shutting down some centralized exchanges. Some centralized exchanges are not doing well, etc., etc., and that's entirely because they've decided to create a business and benefit out of it in the real world as taxpayers, as opposed to decentralized finance, right? I believe decentralized finance is the way of the future.
Yes,
it will be the primary payment method in the future. We are supposed to go cashless, cardless, everything, tap and go. That is literally how we're doing in the future. And one of the things that I've been doing recently is I've been using off ramping crypto and basically using it with the card, etc. So there's a lot of technology out there as well that is trying to, I would say, amplify the movement of decentralized finance and integrating them with real world products that are also decentralized.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Well, and like you said, you can't predict too much of what's going to happen, but I do like we all said, I think the DeFi space is the way to go, really. Let's try and get on to to Moonlight really quick. I just see this question about the pairing of Apollo Daylight. Will it be 1-to-1, 1-to-5, based on the current price of Apollo versus Daylight? How was that? Did you have any comments on that, Ted?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to disable so we're going to do something very interesting, right? We're going to first pair Apollo and Daylight at the price of 1.22, but we're going to disable trading for that pair. And what I think we're going to do after that is we are going to basically buy back from the BUSD pool and sell it into the Apollo pool, balancing the price, right? And then after that, we'll let the free market do what it does, right? So create arbitrage opportunities, etc., etc. Because because we're gonna sort of deplete the Apollo liquidity pool by pushing the price down, and then what people can actually do is then trade back and forth between the two pools, play with the price, play with Apollo BNB, and there's a lot of endless possibilities that can be done for the smart trader.
Yeah, I'm not that smart, so I'll have to ask Pride and Greek what to do, and they'll ask you, Ted. So just make sure you give us some hints at some point once that's ready to go. Right?
Yeah, give me the hints, and I'll just trade from your hints.
Yeah, because
I always make the mistake.
I'm more like buy Apollo, put it in Apollo Galaxy, press the button once a day, right? And that's my current strategy. Right.
Yeah, pressing the button's the most I can do.
We can buy it. Let's buy the NFT.
Well, so let's talk about this Moonlight Arbitrum stuff there, Ted. Give us some dish on that. So what's the general plan going forward here on Arbitrum? Can you give us some stuff on that? I know you don't have all the documentation done, but
we actually do have the documentation done. I just haven't released it.
Oh, I like
So
it.
the documentation's done, the website's done, and I'll probably
I did
release
see a
it sometime
screenshot of
this
that
week.
website, right? That looked
Yeah.
pretty nice. If anybody saw that screenshot, but
So we'll
yeah,
probably
sorry, go ahead,
releasing
Ted.
it, sometime this week, and then I can say that within the next 1.5 weeks, we're gonna fair launch Artemis, and then we're gonna release the NFT sales for, I would say the Artemis DAO as well as the Artemis NFT profit sharings. So what Artemis tokens actually do, and it has a different, I would say, taxation from Apollo. It's going to have a 3% price rise, and then it's going to have 2% royalty that is sent to the treasury for development, for marketing. This is something that we have created that helps people also contribute back to the project. And then it's going to have a 1% tax that is divided equally amongst all NFT holders, right? NFTs are only created when they're minted. So it means that if we have lesser NFT holders in the ecosystem, everyone else is going to earn more profit. So we're only going to trigger the fee receiver. The fee receiver basically distributes the NFT, the profits, the taxes of Apollo in USDC. So it sells Apollo, it distributes USDC to NFT holders, it distributes USDC to the treasury. And this is only going to happen after the NFTs are minted, right? So that everybody's going to get their profits instantly. And then probably after that, in 1 to 2 weeks, we're going to have the pre-sale for Moonlight and a shit ton of marketing for both Moonlight, Daylight, the Apollo ecosystem, etc.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about.
And the NFTs, they're minted on Arbitrum, or are they on BSC?
Arbitrum.
Okay,
Arbitrum.
perfect. Just want to verify.
Yeah. So what we're going to do after that is we're going to have the Moonlight pre-sale, which is going to be basically one Moonlight equals to one Artemis token. We're going to hold it in Artemis tokens itself.
Right.
And then the pre-sale is going to be in Artemis, so that people are buying Artemis, the price is going up.
Yeah.
And then the pledge will be in Artemis, and then we'll actually sell the Artemis tokens once the pre-sale is done, so the price goes even higher for everyone else, right? And what's going to happen is that the launch for the Moonlight token is going to be 1.25x of so we're going to pair 1.25 Artemis to one Moonlight token, which means the price of Moonlight will depend on the current price of Artemis, but it's going to be about 25% higher, or 20 to 25% higher than the pre-sale price, which is one Artemis, right? So that's something that's so cool, I guess, as well as innovative, that we've created. And it shows that we are a community-driven token, shows that the price is community-powered on launch, and it doesn't affect anything else. And then we'll probably pair another USDC and Ethereum liquidity pool after that. So we'll have several liquidity pools because we are looking to become a full-fledged DEX. Our DEX is going to be an AMM DEX, which is very, very similar to how Pancake Swap is, and it's going to look extremely cool. So we're going to upgrade whatever we have for Daylight. We're going to use something different, implement some custom routers, and we're going to support tokens in such a way that when they are trading on the DEX, the fee to liquidity providers is credited to the owners of the liquidity pool and not to the project, which means we cannot sell down into their liquidity pool and deplete their price.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's a lot. And so Artemis is like Apollo, but it's about, is it 7% buy sell tax?
Correct.
Yeah, so 7% instead of 8%. For the people that get the NFT, were you saying there'll be about 100 or so of those?
Yes.
Or how many are you looking at?
100.
Yeah, 100. And they'll be on the expensive side, I'm guessing?
So
or
I'll say the max that we'll sell it for is for 5,000 Artemis tokens.
Wow.
And the minimum we'd sell it for is for 3,000 Artemis tokens. The reason they are priced, on the higher end is, number one, they give you admittance into the Crescent DAO, which is what Apollo DAO's rebrand is going to be.
right.
And then it's literally going to pay you USDC forever that's generated from trading volume.
Of Artemis, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And
so
there's
a percentage
going to be
of that.
future
yeah.
use cases for Artemis, like special whitelists, exclusive access to new projects that are launching on Crescent Swap, which is going to be the DEX of Moonlight, as well as other things that are happening on BNB chain, on Vulcan blockchain, etc. Right. So we're sort of putting, this DAO together that will also, and if you have an NFT, you'll be able to make decisions or govern on some aspects of the project as well.
Right. Well, that's phenomenal. And then with Artemis, there'll be a launch pad too, right?
Correct, but that's to be decided.
That's a little ways out yet.
Correct.
Okay.
And how it'll function and everything. Okay.
Correct. Because we do want the Launchpad to debut on the Vulcan blockchain, but if there's going to be, it really depends on the timeline. If it is delayed a bit more, then we might launch it on Arbitrum first to test, and then just port it over to Vulcan when it's live.
Well, Greek, what day is mainnet going live for Vulcan, buddy? You gotta know. Tell us.
Right now, beta testnet scheduled for 3/1. They said minimum 30 days. I anticipate it's going to be
it's
60 days. May 1st is my anticipated launch date. That's with mainnet launching on 3/1.
like testnet for 30 days is, like, in my opinion, is
no
too short. Like, by the time you get all the people testing stuff, and then you've got to find something likely, like, I don't know.
There's going to be something they find, and you hope they find something, because if you don't find something,
exactly,
it's like, that's how you make the best network possible. So, but they won't know till you get in there, and of course, you don't have the run beta testnet, but it will be up.
Yeah, May 1st.
Well, and we're still waiting, I guess, on confirmation from the team on updates, right? For me, I just want to get that testnet up properly running. That's what I would like to see, right? Then at least we can get Daylight with the Apollo Launchpad on there doing some testing, right? And put Ted to work here. So hey Ted, so does that mean if people sell Moonlight, they're trading into Artemis? I guess with Moonlight, that wouldn't be directly tied to Artemis, right? If they sold Moonlight, it'd be more like Daylight. Or is there
it is going to be paired with Artemis in a liquidity pool, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. It's sort of, I guess, it doesn't mean Moonlight will never go down in price, because if you're selling a huge amount of Moonlight into the liquidity pool, the LP ratio is going to shift. There's going to be more Moonlight than more Artemis in the liquidity pool. The price is obviously going to go down, right? We do have MEV bots in place to arbitrage between the USDC pool, the Ethereum pool, whatever other pools that we will be having on Arbitrum. But this doesn't guarantee that the price of the token won't go down.
Yeah.
It is an automated market maker. It is utilizing liquidity pools, the Moonlight token, that is, and not Artemis. And basically what it does is, it's an open market. We cannot ensure that the price is going to be here forever, or up or down. That's something we cannot determine, right? But what I can tell you is the price of Artemis is literally never going to go down. But in this case, in Arbitrum, it doesn't actually feed into the price of Moonlight. It doesn't buy back. Right. Which on BNB chain, it definitely does. It has around 15 or $17,000 worth of daylight has already been bought back and burnt.
Right. Yeah, and as all this stuff happens with the Apollo farm, Apollo Galaxy, more and more of that, more buying of Apollo is going to help the daylight price, right? So
Correct.
So with Moonlight, then, what do you feel is going to really kind of make that a big thing on Arbitrum, for example?
Well,
Like, what's going to
here's the thing,
drive
right?
investors into Moonlight?
So there's, there are dexes in Arbitrum, there are ecosystems in Arbitrum. It is just very fresh. It is very elementary.
Yeah.
People are waiting for this full-fledged solution to come in, and that's what we're providing, right? So,
Yeah.
basically what PancakeSwap has done on the BNB chain, for example, is they've got, swaps, they've got limit orders, they've got liquidity. You've got the opportunity to earn with different farms and pools and have other projects build basically on your decks.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a lottery system for Artemis as well, which maybe the winner wins all the Artemis in the pool, etc. We'll possibly have an NFT marketplace, and we'll have a system that actually works, that is seamless, that is fully functional. It looks cool. We've got direct support from our builders, our team, 4 different projects. And that's what sets us apart, right? Because the lack of competition is definitely there on Arbitrum. There's Uniswap, there's SushiSwap, but only only a few new dexes, right? There's Camelot that's come up recently, and it's just a simple automated market maker dex that's come up in Arbitrum, and they raised about $4 million for their Grail token, just like that, right? So the hype is there on Arbitrum. It's definitely the place to be building because it lacks mature products and it lacks a lot of volume, right? So GMX has done, their move there, and they've had a phenomenal success with
Unbelievable.
over $100 billion trading volume in total. So that's really a lot of where the money is right now, especially because there will be a potential Arbitrum airdrop in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody keeps bringing up the airdrop. It's like a mystery.
Yeah, it's
we
interesting.
just don't know because everything is just speculative at the moment. But with optimism, we saw that there was a surprise airdrop with Aptos. Also, there was a surprise airdrop for people that traded. So it's always to be decided. It's always we could do this. We even considered going cross chain on Aptos, but Aptos uses Move, which is a different programming language and not Solidity. It's something that we're not familiar with yet. And we would probably need a team expansion for that. and with the Aptos Alameda, I guess involvement, we're just not that keen anymore on going on Aptos blockchain.
So there was the question when people are buying Artemis, for example, first they would have USDC.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, so they'd be buying with USDC.
But you need some Ethereum for gas.
Right. Okay. Yep. So yeah, well, and obviously all of that'll be described once we get there. And then what was this? Yes, but would they need to convert Artemis to USDC, which buys back Artemis? And no, that like when someone sells Moonlight, they would end up getting either USDC or ETH, like depending on what the pair is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So if you sell Moonlight for Artemis in the Artemis Moonlight liquidity pool, you're going to get Artemis. If you sell Artemis, you'll get USDC. That's simply how it works, right? And then it doesn't buy back Artemis. It doesn't buy back Daylight. It doesn't buy back Moonlight. We are generating LPs and swap fees from the DEX itself. So that's the reserve in the treasury. And then I think monthly we would inject a healthy amount that is affordable for us to continue operations, but also a generous amount into the Daylight flow price directly. So we'll just bridge the assets back to BNB chain, and then we'll just send BUSD itself to the redemption contract.
Right. Yeah. So and then with the farm, like there'll be sounds like there'll be a lot going on here with Crescent Swap. Now, correct. You had mentioned somewhere, maybe on that AMA, of potentially having, was it a cross-chain swap between Daylight and Moonlight at some point? Is that what it was?
Yeah, so
Is
we
that
were
a
thinking
potential
maybe
or just kind of?
that's still potential at this stage,
Yeah.
right? The thing with bridges is they're so risky. And
Yeah.
when you're doing it on two unfamiliar assets, especially if they're deflationary tokens, right? It's not like you're bridging USDC on BNB chain to USDC on Ethereum or Arbitrum, for example. You're
Yeah.
actually bridging a
Yeah.
different asset, which
Yeah.
causes it to have a special smart contract interaction, which makes
Right.
it even riskier to bridge this asset, right? So that's something that's still potentially in the works. Maybe if we see the protocol in trouble in the future, or if there's lack of volume on the BNB chain, we might just do sort of a sacrifice and then airdrop people Moonlight on Arbitrum or something.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So lots of, hard to say
But
exactly.
with the way the floor price in Apollo is building up right now, I think that BNB chain has the ability to surpass our success on Arbitrum. But at the same time, I can't really predict how well Arbitrum is going to do for us.
Yeah.
But we're continuing to build because we want to throw out products that people can use, can utilize for DeFi. Fundamentals like trading, like launching projects, development, technical support that don't really require you to throw, money into something and then wait to ROI magically.
Well, it is interesting too because I was talking with a developer that makes swaps for various chains, and he was just kind of commenting how right now Arbitrum's hot, right? A little while ago, and then all of a sudden BNB might get super hot again, or when Vulcan's on, it might get hot, or so it's kind of like, it's not like everything is always super hot at the same time. Obviously, when you're in full bull market,
That's when it gets fun.
that's when it gets a lot of fun. But during like a market like this, you have different things that are kind of, and that's like another advantage of going like on different chains and stuff, right? Because right now Arbitrum may or may not take off for us, right? Like for Daylight, Moonlight, right? So I definitely think it's a good move right now.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Arbitrum's been coming in really hot because there's two projects, notably two projects that have recognized that we have a product that no one has ever done before. Arbitrum is one of the newest and hottest changes, the highest volume L1,
Yeah.
sorry, L2.
L2, yeah.
And then basically GMX came out with their, limit orders. They came out with their perpetual spot swaps that support like zero price impact. And this is something, that you don't see unless you're on a centralized exchange. People just got hyped for it. There was an opportunity to make a lot of money, especially with the low gas fees that would compensate for, small margin trading. And then Mycelium came out with a decentralized derivatives exchange that allowed you to short or long your assets and do trading based off of that. So that's one of the reasons that Arbitrum is generating a lot of volume. You don't have these products on the BNB chain. GMX is also an Avalanche, but then Avalanche is not seeing the same kind of volume that they have seen ever since Wonderland sort of died down, right? One of the reasons that Avalanche had so much volume at one point in time is because Wonderland was doing about 95% of that volume.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Right. So yeah, Moonlight, Arbitrum, awesome stuff. Really looking forward to once you get the documents out and everything. Anybody right now have any more questions about Arbitrum, Moonlight stuff? Mr. Pride, Mr. Greek,
I am
anybody
good right
in the
now.
audience? What is this? What is better, Arbitrum or Optimism?
Well, so the thing is, Arbitrum uses one very important thing is that Optimism, the way the layer 2s are built. So Optimism uses like a single round fraud proof for faster transaction, but at the same time it has a higher gas fee or transaction fee. Arbitrum uses a multi-round fraud proof. So this means that the transactions are slightly slower, but it also costs little bit lower.
Less, yeah.
And
That's a
Arbitrum
good
at the
thing.
same time is beating Optimism by volume, by market share, TVL. Its TVL and market share is basically 5 to 7 times higher than Optimism at the current moment. You've got the hype of an upcoming airdrop. You've got a layer 2 with innovative projects, innovative products. GMX is not operating on Optimism. There is a reason why Optimism is not doing as well as Arbitrum is. So right now it's Arbitrum, Polygon, Optimism, in my eyes, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's switch gears a little bit here quickly. I know Greek was wondering about if we could chat a little bit about the Seifu
Oh yeah.
Sure.
kind of revive kind of stuff. I don't
Sure.
know too much about that, so why don't you guys kind of...
Yeah, I know, Ted, you were working on the paperwork, so it's not officially out and in the public eye. But for anybody in Seifu world who's confused on what the Revive token is, if you could just do like a minute rundown of it.
So Revive is sort of a white label solution done by Apollo Technologies, and it's going to have some sort of, I guess, a royalty payment to Apollo in the form of buying back the token to the Seifu Council Treasury, or the Seifu Insurance Fund, whatever you guys would like to call it. I call it the Council Treasury because these funds are supposed to be used for adding utility to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, or it could do a buyback and burn of Apollo, right? So there are two proposals that I'm figuring out with the Apollo tech team or the Daylight team on the line for Seifu for providing the solution. But the main idea here is that there is, people who are in the Seifu community would be able to invest in an asset that never goes down in price. And then it has a tax to it that enables the price to rise, but it also has another tax where it buys back, it uses 2% of the taxes to buy back and burn Seifu, right? So 1% buys back and burns Seifu, 1% buys back Seifu to the council treasury, so we can create some sort of utility in case it's a lottery or yield farm or staking, I guess, system for the community and add more utility to it. So that's basically the point of this secondary token, is to provide a safe investment, but at the same time do what everyone is demanding we do, which is buy back and burn Seifu.
Right.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah. There was this question here: would it be better for a Seifu holder to buy Apollo or wait for the Seifu pair to be approved and released? I don't know if you can answer that, Ted. Maybe Greek could answer that one, or Mr. Pride, on your personal thoughts.
I don't really understand the question.
I think he's saying, he probably doesn't mean for Seifu pair to be approved. He probably means Revive.
With
so should
Revive.
he buy Apollo now or wait for Revive? Obviously, it just depends. It's your money if you want to lock it up. Revive's not out yet, so it might be a few weeks. Do you want to wait, or it's up to you? Like that's the one thing. In terms of returns, okay, because he went to returns on it. I can't tell you what's going to return better. If we get a lot of volume on that Seifu, like that could spike up fast. And if you're a Seifu holder too, you might want to put it in there because then it helps your Seifu investment. But I can't say.
And the other part that is kind of important to know about Apollo by itself, personally, is my personal thoughts anyways, and I know I've kind of heard this too, but it is a little bit more of like Apollo the token, it's a bit more of a long-term hold, right? Because it's stable backed, it's not going to go down, but it's not going to 5x or 10x like instantly or something, because of the way that it's set up. And that's where I think, like for myself, Greek, Pride, that's where the nice pairing is for us with Apollo Galaxy, that you're getting that additional return with. But the thing with Apollo is that it has the 8% buy and sell tax. So it's not like you can just buy Apollo and then you're going to make gains in a week or something, right?
It's long term.
it's a long-term play in my opinion. So
Yeah, it takes a long term. It is a long term play because you're 16% in and out. Figure
Yeah.
that. So you need at least a 17% rise before you're in profit. It will get there eventually, but it's not like something that a week from now you'll get it.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, but it is steadily going up, and I can attest to that. The chart, it's not like this, but it's like this.
Yeah. Well,
If you can see.
and that's the whole thing. Even with Apollo Galaxy, it's still a bit like for many people, not that it's that long, but it's still, if you wait the 9 weeks and then you start taking some out, by the time you get your max payout, it's going to be a period of time, right? So
Yeah.
But for me, and maybe you, like, it sounds like for you guys too, it's like I like that it's stable. Like Apollo can't go down. There is some good potential for these additional gains with it. So it's a nice combo for me. It's kind of like where I'm putting, like, I'd rather put it in that than hold some stable coin or something right now for myself, right? Like,
you're making money, put it away.
Yeah. So,
or you're going to make money.
Yeah. So any other thoughts on I guess regarding this revive thing, this is something that, Ted, you have to make kind of a proposal and then it goes back to the Seifu Council. Is that how it works?
Well,
That's correct.
Ted's writing up the official proposal so we can develop language to give to the community to then vote yes or no. Is it a good thing to go with? Because without explanation, the community is just like, what? Why?
Yeah.
But when they see that this is something that you're bringing in another ecosystem, helping burn Seifu which is what's a good thing. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the supply to go down on Seifu, but just burning our SIF funds that we get once a month is not going to do that. So if we have a way to generate income while burning, that's a win-win for everybody, and that's why this is such a great idea, because it provides the treasure SIF for us. It feeds the SIF, grows us, so we can do it, and burns. So they can see burns constantly, and it's not just it would be written in, so it'd be constant streams of burns. It wouldn't be like just once a month. Okay, here's the burn event, and provide exit liquidity constantly for people, which is what happens when you get those big burns.
Yeah, and our legend said you're sacrificing huge crazy gains for stability, security, and steady gains. It all depends on. There's no guaranteed huge crazy gains. There's a potential for it, right? With some more volatility, it'll still depend on when you get in, if it takes off. But that's the whole thing, right? We're in DeFi. You have to make your own decisions, do some pretty thorough research, right? And I'm sure, like myself, it doesn't always work out as you hope, right?
Yeah.
Except for Ted. Right, Ted?
No, it doesn't always work out for everyone.
Yeah.
Man. I'm not special.
No, I know.
We've all had our wrong timings or wrong investments. The key is to, I guess, invest in sustainability, and that's what we're here to provide a portal for.
Exactly.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I like that you were trying to build here. Even with Daylight, if we end up with more volume and more that increased floor price, right, over time, it's possible that floor price could be whatever we bought in at some point, like eventually, right? Or much higher, at least, obviously. So it's just, so many different aspects to this ecosystem. So, all right. Well, anybody else in the audience have any more questions? What about you, Mr. Greek, Mr. Crypto Pride?
I am good.
Yeah, I'm
Ted
good
explained
too.
a ton.
I think my
brain's on fire. You explained too much.
He's explained too much. I'm like,
I know.
sheesh.
Well, that's the one thing with this ecosystem is it's just growing and growing. And even when he gets into the arbitrage with the Daylight BNB pair plus the other, I'm just like, I'll just wait till it's out and then see if I can understand it at that point.
Yeah.
Here was a question. What's the difference between true burn and just sending tokens to a dead wallet, and which one will be implemented for Revive?
Yeah, so a dead wallet is a wallet that's no longer accessible. If you go onto BSC scan and look for the dead wallets, there will be a few of them that are verified, which are considered contract burns. So what we would do, I guess, on the Revive contract is enable a direct burn to OX dead. So it's not going to go to the fire pit. It's actually going to go to the dead wallet. So they will be no longer accessible, taking them out of supply. This obviously doesn't directly affect the price, as a lot of people have this misconception that burn tokens means higher price. Price is determined exclusively by liquidity pools.
Yeah. Well, thank
Glad
you
he
for
said
that
that,
question.
because most
Yeah.
people just think, oh,
Yeah.
the supply is 5 million. Oh, well, our price is going to be crazy. You know, you'll just doesn't guarantee that if the liquidity pool is the same, you know, and
Yeah.
everything's going on the same. You need demand. You need a lot of buys and sells.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
people, it does definitely take it out of supply, meaning it's constantly reducing sell pressure. But at the same time, if the reason it's taken out of supply is because of a sell, then the damage is already done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to put out there to make sure that everybody likes the video, subscribes to whoever you're watching, and even if anybody wants to jump on Crypto Pride, like for me, if anybody wants to jump on Crypto Pride's channel, Greek's channel, subscribe to that, like that as well. Everybody except for Greek. And then after the video, everybody listing. Put a comment in on our videos as well about what you thought today, because this Ted's given us some amazing stuff here today, and I'm very bullish on this ecosystem and what's being created, and it just helps to get those comments in there to help spread the word about this, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so Ted, did you have anything you wanted to kind of end with at all? Like any final comments for you?
No, I think we've given out a lot of information today.
Yeah.
Sort of gone over time as well right now. But I would ask everybody who's watching and those who will watch to keep your eyes open for the website of Project Moonlight and Crescent Swap, as well as the documentation that will be coming out this week, because there's a lot of important, I guess, information to unpack in there, and it's more coherent than me saying everything on stream. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for it, because it will be something that's really unique, that's different, but also brings back traditional DeFi products and sustainability.
Well, 100%. And so definitely for everybody, get in the Daylight Discord and then get in the Moonlight Discord too. And take a good look at the light paper and everything regarding like the Apollo Galaxy and everything, because it's pretty clear in that document, right? And if you still have any questions, then go to the Discord, and there's always people there to answer questions, right?
All the news will be, posted exclusively in the Moonlight Discord. So I'd really encourage you guys to join the Discord, and then you'd be able to basically see a lot of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any last thoughts there, gentlemen?
No, thanks, Ted. Thanks for all
I
the
am
info.
good. Thanks for coming, Ted.
Well, I
Great to have
really,
you.
You guys.
I really enjoyed this today with the four of us having this discussion. We'll definitely have to do another one of these sometime once we get a little bit further in the ecosystem. It's been great. So thanks, everybody.
For sure.
Thanks
it was
for
a
everybody
pleasure
for
being
watching
with you guys. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll definitely have another session soon.
Sounds good. Well, you can shut her down if you want there,
Oh yeah, I'm in charge. Take care.